to rally to bring back the spirit of connection and information sharing that you fostered for decades. Thank you.
Again, there's quite a bit of a buzz, so I would ask members to please have conversations on the outside if they're not interested in listening to the statements. The honourable member for Battleford, Lloyd-Minster.
Mr. Speaker, after 9 years of the NDP Liberals, taxes are up, costs are up, crime's up, time's up. Hard work should always be rewarded, but life has never been so hard for Canadians. Workers can't afford to put gas in their tanks to get to work. Moms and dads are struggling to put food on the table, and a generation of Canadians has lost hope in the dream of home ownership. Fortunately, there is hope on the horizon. A common sense Conservative government will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. We will turn the hurt
conservative government that will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime now.
Right. Right Honorable Prime Minister.
The opposition to spend any time listing. Kids' bellies, childcare spaces, and supports for seniors to go to the dentist, many of them first time in years.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Children are hungrier than ever after 9 years of the NDP Liberals. In fact, 25% of them are not getting enough food, and we now know why. A carbon tax fraud has been perpetrated by this NDP Liberal Prime Minister, who kept secret Environment Canada documents that showed that the carbon tax was blowing a $25 billion hole in our economy. Our economy per capita is smaller today than it was 10 years ago, during which time the American economy has grown by 19%. Instead of a reckless plan to hike the tax to 61 cents a litre, why not allow Canadians to vote to axe the tax?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Here's a news flash for the Conservative leader. Climate change costs money. And what would cost the most money to Canadians at all is his do-nothing climate plan. News flash. When the Toronto subway gets flooded, it costs money. News flash. When forest fires hit communities across this country, it costs Canadians money to rebuild. When you have droughts that hit farmers and agricultures across this country, it costs money. What doesn't cost money is putting money in 8 out of 10 of the money of Canadians' pockets with the Canada Carbon Rebate to support their families and fight climate change.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister just proved my point. His tax doesn't stop floods, fires, or droughts. All it does is create more poverty. This also from a high-flying, high-taxing, high-carbon hypocrite who flew 92,000 kilometers in a fuel-guzzling, tax-funded private jet while he taxes single moms and seniors for heating their homes. Now, carbon tax Carney wants him to put the tax back on home heating oil. Will he reject carbon tax Carney and instead allow Canadians to choose to axe the tax?
Just want to remind all members, and to do so early, to be very mindful of their language that they use in referring to other members in this House. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservative leader doesn't believe in climate change, and that's why he has a do-nothing plan to fight climate change. It would cost Canadians money and challenge the future we're building for our kids. Our plan with the Canada Carbon Rebate puts more dollars in 8 out of 10 Canadians' pockets right across the country, supports the middle class and people working hard to join it, while delivering the kinds of investments that are going to grow our economy and reduce emissions at the same time. This is a responsible climate plan that fights climate change and supports Canadians. He wants to do nothing. He wants to hurt Canadians.
L'honorable député de Belleuil-Chambly.
The honourable member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, allow me first of all to wish a warm welcome to everyone. Welcome back here to all of us. It's a by-election in La Salle Aymar Verdun today, and I'd like the Prime Minister to explain to retired people aged 65 to 74 in that riding why their pension checks are 10% lower than retirees who are 75 and over. This is a horrible form of discrimination, and they're entitled to know why. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we did recognize that seniors 75 and over have higher costs and often lower savings. So we've increased investments for them. But what I don't really understand, Mr. Speaker, is that the Bloc, which claims to be concerned about people of that age group, those 65 and over, why did they vote against dental care for those tens of thousands of seniors all across Canada who've recently been able to get dental care paid by the federal government, and the Bloc voted against it? They don't care about seniors in the Bloc. Once again, I'd like members to stick to language that's much more clearly parliamentary. The honourable member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, it's easy to get the Prime Minister confused. I'm talking about a jurisdiction that is exclusive to Quebec, that the federal government has encroached upon. He also said that Anglophones in Quebec couldn't get health care services in English the same as Francophones. That's false. So I would ask him explicitly to recognize that he misled Montreal, Quebec, and La Salle Aymar Verdun's Anglophones when he said that Anglophones don't get the same healthcare services as Francophones. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. He claims to speak for the government of Quebec, but the government of Quebec itself admitted that they were going to issue an order to clarify and explain that they were not going after Anglophones. We're still waiting for that explanation, but if the government of Quebec can recognize that, then I think the Bloc should be able to acknowledge it too. So for seniors over 65 who got dental care, thanks to us. They don't care about them. They just want their jurisdiction, but we're providing something that Quebec was not providing. And so the federal government stepped up and paid for that so that those seniors could get dental care that their own government, provincial government, wasn't providing them, and the Bloc voted against that. The honourable member for New Westminster, Burnaby. The housing crisis in La Salle Aymar Verdun, like everywhere else in Quebec, continues to worsen under the Liberals. Hundreds of people are now homeless. This is the direct result of the Liberals and Conservatives making rules so rich investors get richer while tenants pay more. Together, the Liberals and Conservatives have lost over 1 million affordable housing units. People deserve better. When will the Prime Minister stop working for real estate giants and start protecting tenants at last. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. What's been done in recent years is I've had a lot of good conversations with the NDP leader and colleagues in the NDP, and I know that they're truly concerned about Canadians' situations and they want to help. But what's obvious is that they have no idea how to go about it. And as soon as the Conservatives attack them a little bit, they hide and run. Yes, it's difficult to deliver progressive things in this country, but we as a government are doing just that. And with or without the NDP, we will continue to deliver for people all across the country. We will provide housing, services, and more.
The honourable member from New Westminster, Burnaby.
No excuses. No one in Canada should be homeless, period. Full stop. And no one in Canada should pay out of pocket to get the health care they need. The Liberals are letting people be charged membership fees or bundled payments to gain access to primary care covered by universal health care. And Conservatives want people to pay for health care in Elmwood, Transcona, and right across this country. Liberals let you down on health care, you pay. Conservative cut health care, you pay. When will Liberals start making people pay for health care that should be free?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as everyone in here knows, over the past couple of years, I've had lots of great conversations with the NDP, and I know they actually do care about Canadians and about delivering for them. Unfortunately, they have no idea how to do it, and as soon as hard things got hard, they turned tail and ran, Mr. Speaker. Wanted to avoid the criticism of the mean old Conservatives and tried to save themselves. Well, the reality, Mr. Speaker, is we know that hard things are hard. We're going to continue to deliver progressive solutions for Canadians because we're going to step up and fight for Canadians and not hide from the Conservatives.
The honourable member from Thornhill.
The Prime Minister gave the Finance Minister a real vote of confidence last week as he outsourced the job that she was supposed to have been doing for 4 years and gave it to a man who's not even in the Liberal caucus. First, the Prime Minister tried to fire her in the newspaper, and now she's being shoved aside for carbon tax Carney, a man focused on his own profits and his own corporate interests, who was brought in to serve as the de facto finance minister. She's lost her job responsibilities. She's lost her credibility. How long will the phantom finance minister endure this humiliation?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I am not going anywhere. Understand why the Conservatives prefer to focus on personal mudslinging and attacks rather than to actually talk about the economy. They don't want to talk about inflation because it's been down in the target range for 7 months in a row. They don't want to talk about interest rates down 3 times in a row. All they can do is insult people.
The honourable member from Thornhill.
Who's going to tell her? She just got a demotion and he hired a guy that's not even elected to do her job. Does anyone believe that carbon tax Carney is going to tell the Prime Minister how to help a family afford groceries as the loudest cheerleader for carbon taxes ever? If the Finance Minister isn't completely humiliated by now, can she explain why Canadians should trust a man who is the #1 supporter of higher taxes to do her job?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, we are seeing more clearly than ever that the only thing the Conservatives know how to do is to level personal attacks and personal denigration. They do not care about Canadians, and now they're scared about the facts of our economy. So let me tell you some facts. Inflation in the target range for 7 months in a row. times in a row, and the IMF says we'll have the strongest economic growth in the G7.
The honourable member from Calgary, Nose Hill.
This summer, after he argued that Atlantic Canadian home heating oil should be carbon tax loving Mark Carney spent a lovely summer of whimsy having champers at the Royal Box at Wimbledon and rubbing shoulders at a swish cocktail party with a wealthy CEO who yesterday coincidentally got millions of dollars of tax dollars. This is not someone who's in touch with the struggle of average Canadians, but neither is the Prime Minister. Did he push aside his now phantom female cabinet minister because carbon tax loving Mark Carney could get him into fancier parties than he can?
The honourable leader of the government in the House.
Mr. Speaker, look, I first want to begin by saying it's great to be back in this place. I really did miss most people on this side. I can't say that I missed all of you that much, but I did miss you a little bit. But what I do want to say is that it's just typical from the Conservatives that when they have an eminent Canadian, someone who has given so much to this country, who doesn't agree with their economic vision or their vision at all in Canada, they attack them. Mr. Speaker, we need to be better than this. We need to support Canadians and be grateful when they put forward for public service. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member from Calgary, Nose Hill.
They're not even letting her answer the question anymore. At a time when so many people are struggling to make ends meet and pleading for someone to fix the
to keep people in jail who don't deserve bail, that's a provincial responsibility.
The Honourable Member from Halifax West.
Thank you very much.
I announced new modern fishing, which will lead to significant
Minister. She has failed to protect one of Atlantic Canada's most important illegally fishing lobsters in our waters. They are stealing Canada's natural resources. 60 New Brunswick fishing boats held a peaceful protest Saturday, calling on the minister to enforce the law and protect Canadian sovereignty. Will she do her job, or will the Prime Minister fire her?
the Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our DFO officers do a very difficult job. They do it every day. But the opposition keeps saying that there's no enforcement on our waters. Well, that is completely false. And moreover, Mr. Speaker, it's irresponsible. This work is ongoing.
The honourable member from New Brunswick Southwest had the opportunity to ask his question. I'm going to ask him to please hold his comments and let the minister respond to his question. And I'm certain he has an opportunity to ask questions again on the same issue. Then I have
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans, and with 12 seconds remaining. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If he can shout, I can shout. We are deploying the necessary additional resources in order to protect our oceans and our resources, Mr. Speaker.
the honourable member from South Shore, St. Margaret's.
After 9 years of NDP Liberal, taxes, costs, and crime are up, and fisheries officers are refusing to patrol the Maritimes because these Liberals will not let them enforce the law. Poachers are attacking with shotguns and knives. Meanwhile, Liberal Fisheries Minister number 6 lives in denial, refusing to listen to the union. 20,000 pounds of lobster
So,
poached through the Sonyaville Wharf alone. Americans are fishing in Canadian waters. Will the Prime Minister listen to fishermen for a change, call an election, so Conservatives can fix the fishery?
Then I have Ministre des Pêches.
the Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I encourage my colleagues to listen to the English interpretation of what I'm about to say in French, Mr. Speaker. What's being suggested is totally false. DFO enforcement agents are doing their job, Mr. Speaker.
There was had asked members who had used words which were unparliamentary to rephrase their questions. It happened at the top. We did that today, but normally, and I will say this